Hey there, my wedding planning friends, and welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time here, thanks so much for clicking on my video. I'm Emily Summer. I'm a wedding planner based in Montana, and I make weekly videos on wedding planning tips and advice. So today's video, we are going to talk about wedding guest favors. What are they? Do you need them? And some ideas to have favors at your wedding. So guest favors at your wedding are one of those things that I am seeing less and less prevalent in weddings. So by no means is this necessary to include in your wedding, especially if you're trying to cut costs and you're doing a lot of DIY things for your wedding. Typically, wedding favors is one of the first things to go when it comes to cutting out costs. However, having favors for your guests can be a nice way to add a personal touch to your wedding. Also a great way to tie in kind of your overall theme, or if you're doing a destination wedding, to kind of weave those details throughout the decor and details of your wedding. Don't feel the need to have favors at your wedding just for the sake of having favors. But if this is something that you do want to include at your wedding, here are some ideas to have wedding favors that are things that your guests actually will use and enjoy. So my kind of main rules when it comes to wedding guest favors: provide something that is either consumed, used, or cherished. Another important thing to consider is, are you having a destination wedding and are a lot of your guests traveling? I've seen really cool favors like personalized cups, or even like mini bottles of wine or monogrammed bottles of wine or some kind of alcohol. While those are great, and I'm sure your guests would enjoy them, they can be really difficult to travel with. So keep that in mind if you are having a lot of guests that travel, and having a particular item like that, or like a potted succulent or plant, that are not going to be that easy to travel back home with after your wedding. So when it comes to those kind of top 3 rules, let's talk first about things that can be consumed. So this is always a great route to go, as it's not something that guests have to pack back with them if you're having a destination wedding, and they can even be consumed right there on the spot, or it can be something compact they can bring back home with them and be able to consume at a later date. So some things under this category that I have seen that work really well are anything homemade. So I've had couples that will create little mini jars of homemade jam that they made from a strawberry garden that they have in their own backyard. So not only is this consumable, but it's also something that is hand prepared by the couple. So it makes it that much more personalized, that much more unique, and it's going to make your guests appreciate it that much more. Other ideas are jars of honey. This is a great way to also tie in the location if you're doing a destination wedding, or if you're just bringing a lot of people together into a place that maybe they haven't been before, or you're trying to tie in kind of the overall theme of the location of your wedding. For example, here in Montana, huckleberries is a very common berry, very common flavor in a lot of Montana kind of related foods and items. And so I've seen a lot of couples include something huckleberry related in their favors. So huckleberry taffy, or huckleberry jam, huckleberry syrup, something like that. So not only is it something that your guests can use and enjoy, but it also kind of ties in the overall feeling and theme and location of your wedding day. The other category is something that your guests can use. So this can also be consumed as well, but things that I have seen that your guests can use are little mini candles. And again, this is something that you can make yourself, adding that extra personalized touch. And it could also potentially be a little bit more cost effective to kind of do a large batch of DIY candles yourself. You could even have them monogrammed, have some kind of personalized feature on these candles, but this is something that your guests can take home with them and use at a later date. Also little mini bottles of olive oil, which is something that you wouldn't really consider when you're thinking about a wedding guest favor, but I saw this once, and they were little personalized bottles of olive oil, and that is something that almost every single person is going to use in their kitchen. So that's something that is not only cute and personalized, but also very useful. Another common favor I have seen are custom koozies. Again, this is very useful for your guests. Not only can they use it at your wedding itself and be able to use the koozies all night, but it's something they can take home with them and use and be reminded of your wedding day for future uses. And this is also something that is very easy to throw in a suitcase and be able to pack home, so it's not something they have to schlep across the country or put on an airplane when they have to go home from your wedding. Other ideas under this category, as well as the consumable category, are items that are either late night bites or take home goodies. So while this isn't kind of the traditional favor where you have an item at their place setting that they're going to take home with them, a lot of times this is set out later in the evening, but can be kind of served as a guest favor at your wedding. So examples of this are pulling popcorn out later in the night. Usually this is in some kind of personalized container with your names on it, whether that's a bag or some kind of actual container, and having that filled with popcorn as like a little dance floor snack or something that they can take on the shuttle if they're taking a shuttle back to a hotel at the end of the night. So having some kind of late night snack, whether that's a snack like a popcorn or full on meal like drunk noodles. I just had at a wedding very recently, which was a huge hit. And although it's not like a traditional guest favorite, it's something that your guests can enjoy at the end of the night or take with them. Another example I've seen a lot are little baggies of cookies. So maybe you had a cookie bar, dessert bar for at your actual wedding, and some guests may have consumed it during that time, but having actual bags of cookies that your guests can take with them is also something that hardly anybody is going to say no to. In that final category of something that your guests can cherish, there are a lot of opportunities to be creative here and create a guest favor that is something that your guests are going to really feel appreciated by and be able to cherish for days to come. So unique and creative things that I have seen that fall under this category are having actual handwritten letters that kind of serve as an escort card or a placeholder at the table setting so that guests know where to seat, but underneath it is an actual personalized letter to each guest. And this can be as lengthy or as short as you want it to be. This is obviously going to be a very time-consuming guest favor and is great if you have a little bit of a smaller guest count. But this is something that is so personalized and so special, and your guests will truly feel appreciated for their presence at your wedding. Similarly, I just had a bride do this recently where instead of having an escort card that had their name on it, they had printed Polaroids of each guest, either with their partner, like their wedding photo, or a photograph with the couple themselves, with that individual person if they were not married. And I thought this was such a sweet way to kind of tie in all of the relationships and bring everyone together at your wedding, as that's kind of what this is all about, right? But also be able to provide them with a really personalized little piece that is really touching for your guests, because you're tying in every relationship that you have with every individual at your wedding. And this also gives them something that they can take home with them and be able to cherish. Another thing that I saw that was really cute and creative was a little hangover kit. So little mini gift bags of like liquid IV, Gatorade, water bottle, an eye mask, and just a couple of cute little things to put in a bag, with the intention that they are going to be having such a great time at your wedding that they're going to need this little hangover kit the next day. Additionally, having a photo booth at your wedding can also kind of serve as a guest favor, as not only is it providing your guests with something to do at your wedding, guests can have a lot of fun with this at your actual wedding itself and be able to take photos during your wedding. But if you have a photo booth that either sends electronic photos to your guests' phones, or one that actually prints out, you can do customized templates that has your name and your date on it so that you can commemorate the wedding date and be able to provide your guests with something that they can take home with them to remind them of your wedding day as well. So while wedding guest favors are definitely not necessary at your wedding, they can be a great way to tie in a personal touch to your wedding, or bring together your overall theme and bring in some really personalized touches and details to your wedding. Hopefully you found this video helpful. If you did, please like and subscribe to get weekly videos on wedding planning tips and advice, and we'll see you next week.